Welcome to this first authentic 5-elder Dim Mak Herbal Antidote tape, the first of its kind ever produced anywhere in the world, that's going to take you into the authentic method, 5-elder method, passed down to me by Great Grandmaster Du Wei of the White Tiger system. The formulas in the monk's handwriting, the method, what they look like, we have them filled, ready to show you for the soups, the jows, and the hit pills. And we will show you how to prepare them. We will also show you a rare collection that I inherited from the Great Grandmaster and his ancestors going back to Fundo Duck, which we will show on Panther for the first time for historical purposes. We hope you enjoy this tape. In an effort to bring you the best information possible today on our Dim Mak series, I've asked Tom Carpenter here, who's been with me for a few years, to explain an ingenious device that he made. We were always having problems grinding up the herbs, and blenders are a little weak. They work, but you have to go very slow with them, and I've tried some other methods like Morton Pestle and getting heavy-duty scissors to cut the herbs and whatnot, and it works, but it's a little slow. Tom here has invented a little machine, and I'd like him to explain it. Before I do, there are also commercial brands that you can buy on the market that do a very good job, and they vary in price a few $100 to $1,000. So, but I think what Tom will share here will fascinate you, and perhaps you can get the idea to duplicate this yourself. Tom?
Hi, this is a router I got from like Price Club, Home Depot, and you're looking for RPMs if you want to make one of these things. The lid, a Chinese lady gave me one that was made in China. They're kind of flimsy. If you get them stuck, they'll burn out and start smoking. Now this is a power tool. When you stick this, it's made to get stuck, and then you can readjust the herbs inside and go on with your business. These are easy to make. You got an armature here, and you put a bolt in there, and then you strap your blade to it. Now the bowl, well, you can get a bowl and figure it out how to put it on a high RPM machine, and you're in business. And then you have your herb prescription, and then you have your herbs. And you just throw it on in here. It pretty much grinds everything to some rock herbs to bone herbs. And this particular one from the old herb grinder, I added it to this new motor, but it doesn't have to be like perfect as long as it runs. Let it go for a few minutes, whirl around. And what you have is the beginning of your grounded herb formula. Now this particular one needs a little bit more grinding, and we could grind a little more. Turn it up. Keep going. Stop. Now when you do this, some herbs are going to be left behind and some herbs are going to go in here. And what I do when it's powder, I take it, dump it in a jar like so, take some more herbs, grind them up, put them in there. See, there it's stuck. Go in, move them around, maybe take a few out. Now that particular, when it's stuck like that, would have worn out your regular $400 Chinese herb mortar. But this thing made here, shaking around. Wow, looks like that's a difficult herb there. It's one of these kind of lizard skin type things. Let's give it another try. Way to get it. Pour it on your piece of paper. Pour it in here, because you don't want your some of your pills to kind of like get how would you say, zebra? Different herbs, different pills, more potent in one herb. Shake it up, and that's how I mix them together.
Okay, that was pretty good, seeing how this machine makes it a lot easier to grind up the herbs. Mainly you want to grind up herbs for the hit pills, which is what our next project's going to be. Normally we would not grind up herbs to make dit dao jiao. We just leave the whole herbs in there. It's a little better. It doesn't get quite so sticky. However, this is an excellent way to go sometimes when you have limited space. Also, you might not be able to afford like a formula like this, which we can get a close-up of or just zoom in on a little bit. As you can see, there's formula 1 and 2. We actually used this formula here, and these were all given to me by the great grandmaster. These are from the White Tiger system and in the monk's handwriting. And so what we ground up, this all-purpose formula here, is now in here. So sometimes when you want to save space or make a concentrate, now I'm using gin here, but if I wanted to make a concentrate and save money and be thrifty, then what I would do is, and you can take this little plastic top off, is I would just fill it, I would just barely fill the herbs, cover the herbs. So you just with about that much gin. You can use vodka too. Believe it or not, you can use rubbing alcohol too if it's for external, but people don't like the fumes, but and they say it goes in the skin too deep, but it's the United States pharmaceutical has been used for years. We covered that on other Panther tapes. If you don't have as much money, that's the way to go. But this is a little nicer. And so you can just cover that and then shake it up once a day, twice a day, and in 6 weeks it's ready to use. But it's ready to use, but it'll get stronger if you let it set longer in a dark space at that. And preferably, I have some that have been setting for, well, when we bring out my collection, I'll show you, that's another story. But as you can see, you know, that mixes it up well. Now it'll get to be a concentrate. Well, at any point then, you can strain it and you can add more alcohol. Remember, one formula like this would cost about $5. There's no measurements on these ancient formulas. These are not traditional Chinese medicine. These are martial art lineage passed down from White Tiger Grandmaster to White Tiger Grandmaster, father to son, and to me. And I'm going to show you my collection. I inherited over 1,000 herbal formulas. You got to have herbs. Herbs and meditation are what make an art internal. Now, I'm going to go into the next phase of this tape, moving right along here. What we're going to do, and I'll pour the rest in here because we'll just get this brewing and this will be ready. So this will make some nice jiao, you know, 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years. It's just like wine. It gets better and better and better. For those of you that would like to know about the scientific effects of dit dao jiao, you might want to read the article Dr. Anglin wrote, our student from Missouri, our Missouri rep, in the Qi magazine on the bioelectric effects of dit dao jiao, a scientific study of our formulas from Great Grandmaster Wei, proven on the Sing and Yuan points using a EMI, electromeridian imaging unit, proven to raise the readings 80%. 70, 80% in a controlled study, and that was the first time in history that I know of where an authentic 5-elder formula had actually been tested. And a great part of this Dim Mak series will also include about 90 minutes of footage of Dr. Anglin doing dark field experiments with blood samples before and after Qigong, our Qigong at that, and talking about some of the other scientific ways to prove the effects of Dit Dao Jiao. For instance, one interesting one I'll talk about just in passing real quick is that after Qigong, the blood came apart and flowed better, the cells flowed better, and the platelets, and a run around the block and weightlifting didn't do that. Only the Qigong did that. Anyway, Dr. Anglin can explain that later, why Qigong is a type of health that just not doing other types of things will necessarily accomplish. And we'll talk about that later. But right now, as you can see, we have ready to go some excellent Dit Dao Jiao of all-purpose that will work for different types of iron palm. Now, in this Dim Mak series, you want to use Jiao on your hands before and after the meditations later when we do that section. So having a good all-purpose Jiao ready to go 6 weeks later and would be very good, okay? And if you've watched our first series of Panther tapes, the grab bag and the roller bar, you'd also want to get for your delivery system to make it complete with the Dim Mak. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Tommy, and we're going to show you one of the Dim Mak formulas that we published in our book. By the way, we have the Dim Mak series that's on this Panther tape is also in a book series with Ryukyu, so that you have study guides to go along with everything.
I'm going to give you an overview of what a Kung Fu master should have knowledge of in relation to Dim Mak, applying the herbal medicines to the trauma which has been done by Dim Mak to the body. Now, some of these medicines can be applied to all different parts, internal, external, to the surface, where a Dim Mak strike has been used on the body to affect a certain either meridian or soft tissue or artery. So the first thing, if you wanted to learn about herbs, you should get a materia medica to study first herbs, herbal identification. You should first get some bags of herbs, work with them, identify them, know their properties, and know their effects of how they should be used according to the Dim Mak strike. For instance, some of these herbs are anti-inflammatory. They can reduce swelling. Some herbs can help increase blood circulation. There is a saying in Chinese medicine, if there is pain, there is no free circulation of qi and blood. So many of these herbs push the blood by force, along with their properties of either going up, down, out to the surface, or internal. So a master has to have a great knowledge of many, many things. He must learn how to make plasters, pills, washes, soaks, along with knowledge of Chinese medical massage. He must have knowledge of trauma, dislocations, how to fix fractures, acupuncture, and of course Qigong to restore the harmony within the body that has been disharmonious from Dim Mak striking. So the first thing, get a materia medica, study it, get some herbs that are applied in the formulas, such as this formula, which Jim has provided for the Dim Mak making pills for the antidote. And if we could have a close-up, this is in the monk's handwriting that has been handed back for hundreds of years in the Du-Wei family, the 5 elder system. It has been unchanged since that time. So this gives a lot of credibility to what we are doing here. So along with making herbal prescriptions, this is an internal formula. It's an internal soup, and I'll simply show some of these herbs, not all of them, but we will give you the formula along with it. This is a gecko lizard, which can help the lungs, the kidney, help respiratory problems. Some of the other ones, like a very famous herb called dongguai, okay, angelica, which can be used to help circulate blood, help to as a blood tonic. And there's different portions of these which a master should know. There's the top of the herb, there's the body of the herb, and there's also what is called the tail. Just to give you an example for this herb, the bottom part. And each one of these portions has a different effect on the body. So, as you can see, it takes quite comprehensive knowledge to have not only Dim Mak, but how to restore balance in the body, harmony. So here is the prescription for, it's a general external liniment prescription, a Dita Jiao formula for trauma that can be used for bruising, hematomas, fractures, sprains, dislocations, overall a general formula to restore the balance in the body from martial art Dim Mak striking. In relation to some of these formulas that have been used in the past can also be used for modern day problems or clinical diseases. For instance, in all-purpose Dita Jiao formula, there are certain herbs strictly for pain. And I'll give you an example. Corydalis, called Yan Hu Sa, is specifically used for a wide variety of pain anywhere in the body. But nowadays, clinically, it can be used for such diseases as dysmenorrhea, gynecological diseases, women with pain. So it can be applied to modern day, not only trauma from Dim Mak, but in clinical for acupuncturists and herbalists to take away pain in the body. This book was the first of a series which Grandmaster Jim Lacey, in conjunction with Dr. Rosenberg, wrote, which is now documented in the Library of Congress. Jim had inherited over 1,000 formulas, which some have been untranslated and to be used for future publications. So this will be brought out a little bit later on, and all the formulas, or some of the formulas, will be used from this book. So if you wanted to have more knowledge of herbs and trauma medicines, you can contact Jim later, and maybe he can provide you with some more knowledge of getting this book. It's a rare opportunity to learn some of these herbal formulas which have never been shown before, dating back to 1644 from Phun Do Duc and from some previous generations or dynasties. So this is a very important in future to be used not only clinically, but in the Dim Mak series. Now, little helpful hints that might save your machine, your pill machine, from burning out too quickly is, I would suggest first, when you get from the herbalist your prescription that has been filled, your particular formula that you want to use, either external liniment or internal soups, such as this one right here for the Dim Mak antidote, is first break up by hand all your herbs, which are large and take up space and perhaps more difficult to stick in the blender. Also, some herbs you should use a mortar and pestle, such as saps, such as dragon's blood, that are hard on your grinding machine. They will melt down and they will hurt your machine, your grinding mechanism. So you should use those by hand first, separate those. Other things such as Romania, sukde, sangde, are very rubbery and they don't break down such as easily, so you should break them up by hand. Everything first by hand, then place it in the grinder, and I'm going to have Tom help me in a second and assist me in grinding up this formula. Later, if you want to get a finer powder, get a small coffee grinder and apply that last. So first by hand, second, the majority of the herbs ground up, and then third, get it to a very fine powder. You should get a coffee grinder. Now, I would also like to mention, lastly, is that when you get a prescription and you don't know the full prescription and you have it filled by the herbalist, you should have complete knowledge of all the herbs that are in the formula, because traditionally, sometimes they use poisonous or toxic materials in there, and you might have a side effect. So again, you should consult a physician or a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist to get more clear knowledge on herbs for this particular problem. So we make no medical claims on these